He looks like he owns credit. Oh my gosh. Man like Arthur from Batman.
Dzień dobry, namaste, assalamu alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, bonjour, hola, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm just going to put my phone on silent here. Live as always, coming to you from Norbury, Southwest 16, a fantastic commuter town, Zone 3, between Streatham to the north, Croydon to the south. How are you? Hope you're well today. Friday, and it's a beautiful day out. A little bit more overcast than yesterday, but still nice out there. Warm, bit of sunshine through the cloud, and a gentle breeze. Who could ask for more? So, Fridays, really important day for us in estate agency. Many of you will know one of my favorite days of the week, the favorite day of the week actually for me. Why? Well, it's the anticipation of the weekend ahead. The fact that it's a really important day in the property world. It's the day when we look to get everybody out viewing. Why? Because most families want to view on a Saturday. So Friday becomes a critical point where they make the decisions for those viewings over the weekend. So we want to make sure that we're having discussions with people. Are you still looking? And then asking open questions so that we can work out and be guided as to what might suit them. And those open questions might be, how long you've been looking, what's the best one you've seen, why are you moving, just to get a picture in our head, the same as the picture they've got in their head. Because if we're actually looking at the same thing through the same eyes, then all of a sudden things start to make sense. And perhaps a property we've never considered before might be right for them. Perhaps something that's just come on that we forgot to discuss with them might be available. And it's quite exciting because, of course, the art of selling a house, in my view, is not actually to sell it to them, inverted commas, when they're walking in the door, because actually the house has to do that for its own reasons. The art of selling is to sell the idea of viewing the house in the first place, because without the viewing, the sale can't follow. So an estate agent's job is actually to get people through the door of that property. But what it doesn't mean is mudslinging. What a lot of people will do is they'll just say, yeah, go and look at this one, that one, the other one, and try and get you through loads of doors. That's not helpful. What you need to be doing, negotiators out there, is you need to be making sure that you understand the client's needs and wants, and make sure you relate those to the properties you have available, rather than just mudsling, because very quickly they'll lose faith and trust in you, and that's not going to help with your property journey. On other matters, the Property Buyer and Sellers podcast is just out. We've released a version for YouTube as well just now. So if you're interested in that, do look it up. Just look up the Property Buyer and Sellers podcast on your favorite provider and you'll find us there. And we're getting thousands of views now on that. So thousands of listens, I should say, on that. So thank you to everybody that has been a faithful and returning client on that. A few news headlines really today. One I wanted to talk to you about, which is competition returns as lenders reduce mortgage rates. We've been talking about this all week, really, and it's interesting, isn't it? We've seen rates go up, but we've also seen fixed rates coming down. And this is an article in the Telegraph and the Independent. It says at least 13 lenders of 82 are set to reduce mortgage rates this week, signalling easing pressure on homeowners as competition returns to the market. And of course, one of the reasons for this will be lenders are there to lend their funds. You know, a lot of people think, oh, they don't want to lend me money. They want to lend everybody money. Why? Because that's how they make money. If they're not lending money, they're not making money. So therefore, in a quieter market, they have to do something to kickstart the market and make it work. One of the ways they can do that is to actually initiate a rate war, so to speak, with their other competitors by reducing the rates they've got. And they do that by looking at swap rates, which hedge their position. Gets a bit technical, but basically the base rate itself isn't the only thing that determines the rates that you're looking at on the high street. And it goes on to say, NatWest are among the lenders reducing rates by up to 0.71% and 0.65 percentage points respectively. Then HSBC, Nationwide and TSB cut rates this week after the latest inflation data was better than expected, despite the Bank of England raising the base rate for the 14th successive time last week. David Hollingsworth of L&C Mortgages said, we're seeing the beginnings of a rates war. There's tougher competition in the market, with more lenders coming forward to announce cuts to some of the fixed rate deals, and it certainly looks that mortgage rates have turned a corner. Well, that's a nice optimistic picture to start on, isn't it? Not such an optimistic position is on rental, one in The Guardian. A little bit biased, this one, but it is The Guardian, to be fair. No-fault evictions at a 6-year high. It says the Ministry of Justice released figures showing 7,491 no-fault eviction claims. This is Section 21 notices where the landlord is requiring possession. And Polly Nate, Chief Executive of homelessness charity Shelter, said the government must get rid of no-fault evictions. Well, you know, that's not the reason for the crisis. The reason for the crisis is twofold. Number one, the government changing the tax rules so landlords can no longer afford to rent properties. Number two, interest rates going through the roof, meaning landlords can no longer afford to rent properties. In the end, the small landlord, quite often not a rich person at all, just someone who took a decision to rent property as an investment is now starting to shy away from the market. And if the government want to do something about it, then they need to tax incentivize people to make that work. And no event or way of trying to prevent evictions will work when there are always going to be ways that landlords can take back their homes. They're going to do it if it turns out that they have to put money in rather than take money out. It has to be a viable business proposition for the average landlord. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. As simple as that. Other news, in England and Wales, sellers reducing asking prices by over 5% has doubled. Hardly surprising this given a tougher market. And it's by Zoopla. And it says that the number of people reducing their asking prices by more than 5% has almost doubled across the UK this summer. As we said many times, this can be a very deceptive headline. Why? Because some estate agents have overpriced those properties in the first place. So it looks like they're falling much further than they have in real life. Another article that caught my eye was in The Guardian. And this is Greg Mulholland, director of a campaign for pubs, says the UK risks losing a vital part of its heritage unless planning laws are reformed to protect historic pub buildings. I would agree with that. To protect historic buildings, full stop. You know, that little pub was awful, wasn't it? Seeing that burnt down over the last few days, and very, very sad to see the Crooked House burn down. And, you know, these developers, they will do that because, you know, for instance, I'll give you a good example, trees. If you're looking at trees, so let's say you buy a plot of land as a developer and there are trees on it which are protected. They have what they call a TPO, a tree preservation order on. If you accidentally bang your tractor into that tree and it falls down, you'll get fined £20,000. Now imagine a forest of trees on a plot. Guess what? The owner of that land, the developer, wants those trees down and will pay the £20,000 fine. But the tree's gone. Doesn't help, does it? So, you know, that's what's happening is that due to the kind of desperation of many, we're finding that trees and historic buildings are just being demolished all over the place. And it's not right. It's not fair, but it is what it is, I'm afraid. So apart from that, a busy day today on valuations. Thank you to everybody that's chosen to ask James Alexander to look at their homes today. Busier for next week already as well. Good to see that building up, because normally in August we do expect it to be a little bit quieter all round, and certainly in terms of numbers of people viewing, we're seeing that slow down, which is natural because families are on holiday and many of the properties that we hold are family homes. But the market is far from dead. There are people out there still buying and still selling, contrary to popular belief. So don't forget, by the way, we've just released a podcast which is going to tell you how to buy and sell. And that might sound like, well, that's obvious, isn't it? But actually it's not. If you've got a home which you own, you've never sold and bought at the same time before, it can be a real dilemma. Do I sell? And then what if my buyer wants to get in and I haven't found yet? Or what if I find and then I need to sell, but I haven't sold yet? What will my seller think? So it is a real dilemma for a lot of people. So we've done a podcast on that today, might help you. So do look that up. And apart from that, have a fantastic weekend. Thanks for watching. As always, we'll be back same time next week on Monday, as usual, doing the Ken at 10 thing. Hope you have a great week and look after yourselves, if you can, your family and friends. Ciao.